I'd like to call to order the public hearing for Tuesday, July 8th, 2025. This public hearing is being held pursuant to Section 465 of the Local Government Act. All members of the public will be given a reasonable time to be heard or to present written submissions respecting matters contained in the bylaw that is the subject of this hearing. All information, correspondence, petitions, or reports that have been received by noon today concerning the subject bylaw have been circulated to council and are available to the public as part of the meeting package. Staff will provide their report, followed by an opportunity for the applicant to speak. Members of the public who have pre-registered to speak will have been added to the speakers list in the order that requests were received. Those pre-registered will be provided the opportunity for public comment according to the order of the speakers list, followed by comment from those who have not pre-registered. Anyone who has not pre-registered can still attend council chambers and wait to speak following those on the speakers list, or alternatively can electronically participate by calling the conference line during the live hearing at 778-907-2071 and entering meeting ID 506-489-9374 and passcode 485186. Speakers will be asked to state their name and civic address. Please note that all representations, whether written, verbal, or electronic, are available to the public for viewing as part of the public record. Remarks will be limited to 5 minutes per speaker, and it should include all the relevant information in their presentation. Further opportunity will be afforded to all members of the public to speak a second or third time with new information only, once all persons have had an opportunity to speak. Council may ask questions of staff, the applicant, and the public, but once the public hearing is over, no new information can be received. Council debate on the bylaw will take place during the regular council meeting following the conclusion of the public hearing. At that time, any questions of staff will be for clarification purposes only. The corporate officer will now provide information on the notice of this public hearing.
Thank you, Mayor Holmes. So notice of the public hearing was given in accordance with the Local Government Act and the district's public notice bylaw. In addition, 18 notices were hand delivered to owners and occupiers on July 8th, 2025. The corporate officer stated, the district has received 2 written submissions, one citing general support for the proposal, but concerns with traffic safety, and the second citing concerns with traffic safety as well. These comments have been circulated to council as part of the public hearing agenda package.
Okay, thank you. I'll now turn it over to staff to introduce the item. Thanks.
Thank you. This evening, I'll be presenting an official community plan and zoning bylaw amendment application for the use of a food processing facility. The applicant is in attendance this evening. Following further direction from the Agricultural Land Commission and set out in Section 465 of the Local Government Act, the district is required to hold an additional public hearing regarding this application. All property owners and tenants within 60 meters of the subject property were notified by mail of the proposed OCP and zoning bylaw amendments. A public notice was also placed on the district's website and Facebook page on June 30th. The subject property, outlined in blue, is surrounded by Highway 97, Jones Flat Road, and other agricultural parcels. It currently contains an apple orchard, a single detached dwelling, and an accessory building. Both existing structures are proposed to be demolished. The application is proposing a 2,100 square meter food processing facility on the northwestern portion of the parcel. The concept of establishing a regional food hub in Summerland has been a strategic priority of council since 2022. The applicants have looked at several properties to bring this proposal to fruition. They are now proposing this food hub at 15815 Highway 97. The facility is intended to be used for the Okanagan Food and Innovation Hub and locomotive organic delivery. It will also have a small retail portion available to the public. The subject property lies within the Agricultural Land Reserve, where land must first comply with the provincial land use regulations of the Agricultural Land Commission. The ALC required a non-farm use application to the Commission for the proposed use and scale of the facility. The applicant applied for and has since received approval for this proposed non-farm use with conditions. The conditions of the approval required the district to rescind the previously read second and third reading bylaws in order to reread the proposed bylaws as amended to permit M3 agri-industrial zone and redesignate to agri-industrial for the proposed facility area only, while the remainder of the parcel is to remain designated and zoned agriculturally. As the current agricultural designation does not support the development of industries on agricultural land, the proposal is to redesignate the northwestern portion of the parcel where the facility is proposed to be located to agri-industrial, which supports food processing and packing, and leave the remainder of the parcel designated agricultural. The proposal is also to rezone the northwestern portion of the subject property only to M3 agri-industrial, as the current A1 agricultural small acreage zone does not permit the proposed use. The remainder of the parcel is to continue to be zoned A1, which better aligns with the intent of the ALR, ALC regulations, and the ALC Act. Staff have referred this application to internal departments and external agencies requesting comments. Of the external agency responses received, the key response was from the ALC, which required an additional application, conditions, and amendments to the district's previously read bylaws. Staff support the application for the following reasons. As the proposed location is adjacent to the highway, it may be well suited for truck access. The proposed OCP designation supports food processing and packing. The proposed zone permits primary and secondary processing of agricultural products as a principal use. Keeping the agri-industrial use to the facility area only better aligns with the intent of the ALR. And there's a need for a food hub in the region with current climate events that interfere with transportation routes, separating the Okanagan from the Lower Mainland. Thank you.
Thank you. Council, any questions for staff? Councillor Peak?
There was identification, if I remember correctly, about where the driveway was to be located. Do you have notes on that? I can't seem to find it in mine at the moment. That is coming off the highway or coming off as Jones Flats. And I believe the recommendation was that come off of Jones Flats.
That's correct. Ministry of Transportation, a requirement is to close off the access on the highway, Highway 97, and use the Jones Flat Road or create a driveway there.
Okay, with the applicant, Mr. Tumbach, you'd like to say anything? Please come on up.
Good evening. I'm happy to be here for this to answer any questions. Thomas Tumbach. I'm residing in 27218 Garnet Valley Road at this time.
Okay, been through this before. Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Tumbach? Councillor Barkwell.
Maybe it's not a really important question, but I assume that if there's any changes from the previous plan, they would have been pointed out. So this is exactly the same as before. It's just the classification of the remainder portion. Yeah,
that's correct. Yeah, it's shrinking the amount of M3 zoning to just the footprint of the facility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Councillor Patton.
Thank you, Worship. Thank you for coming, Thomas. Question on your access onto Jones Flat Road. How close, because I know that to the East is mailboxes, Canada Post mailboxes, so which is quite a congested area, especially since it serves all that area. How close is your access going to be to access to that Canada Post on Jones Flat?
I believe if you can go back to the slide there, I don't know the exact dimensions of the distance there, but I believe the driveway was shifted further to the east in the updated drawings. And it should provide enough distance between there for people to access that mailbox.
Okay, thank you. If I may. Brad, can you tell me, is there any provisions in front of the proposed building for road widening from engineering?
Through your worship to Councillor Patton, we had a discussion early on this application with the Works Department about what upgrades would be required for Jones Flat Road. They did an inspection of the road itself, and based on a few factors, one being the condition of the asphalt was fairly good already in that location, as well as the fact that this is primarily an agricultural area, and other than this proposed use, the remainder of the subject property would be kept in agricultural plantings. So the Director of Works and Infrastructure made a decision as per our SDS bylaw to not require those off-site road improvements.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to the here from the public. I have two people pre-registered. Thanks, Mr. Temek. First, I have Rory Smith. Just come up to the podium, sir, and push the button.
Sorry. Thank you, Mayor and Council. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly how your process works here, but on March 3rd, 2025, my wife and I submitted a letter to Mayor and Council, and I know a copy that was received. I received confirmation as such, and if it's not part of the process, I'd like to re-enter that letter again for consideration as far as outlining our concerns. I've got a copy here. It's a little marked up, but we're not opposed to the development next door. We just have some concerns, particularly with the driveway. Ideally, I'd like to see it come off Highway 97, but I know how difficult it can be to deal with the ministry at times. But our concern is where they've moved the driveway now, it's basically coming out right at our driveway. And, you know, it's going to impact traffic flow. That is an extremely busy corner, particularly in the summertime with the amount of traffic coming off there and vehicles stopping along there. I don't know how much consideration staff has given or even any understanding they have about how busy that site is and the number of vehicles that park along there by the mailboxes. Preferably, I'd like to see the driveway, or we'd like to see the driveway stay where it is. And they could swing in and then swing around the building. It wouldn't impact us at all. That would be ideal. The other considerations that we spoke about, obviously, were the aesthetics and the sight lines. I'm looking at the development proposals that are up on the screen, and I'm sorry, I can't really tell where that's going to be. Obviously, I don't want to look out my front window and see a two-story commercial building. It's going to severely impact the value of our property. The other issue, obviously, is odors and disposal of waste. I mean, we did talk to the proponent about that, and they have certain legal obligations they have to comply with to address that. And obviously, we want to make sure that's done. And lastly, landscaping considerations. I know one of the proposals was maple trees, and the problem is both our property and range rider next door have chain link fences. And when the wind blows hard, all the leaves from the orchard plug those up. You can't even see through them when you're pulling out towards the highway. So I guess recommendation would be that they probably use something other than maple leaf trees. Do you have anything else you'd like to add? I guess the other thing that a little bit concerning is that the fact that we went to the original meeting on January 27th, there's only representation from the proponent. There's nobody there from staff, and it's a very one-way communication process. You know, there should be some sort of meaningful consultation and consideration so that we actually have an understanding as, you know, members of the community and people are impacted. So what's really going on? And I guess that's all I would like to see is some communication with staff as far as how and why these decisions are made. So I'm not sure if I have to provide someone with a copy of this March 3rd letter, or can you take notice that you have a copy on file?
Corporal officer, is that the same one we have in our package? Or was that from the previous public hearing? Either way, we would have received it.
Yeah. But to the mayor, I believe that there wasn't one submitted for this public hearing. It was submitted for the last one, so it would have been provided, but as this is a new public hearing, the letter would have had to be resubmitted.
Okay, so I would like to do that now. Then I have a copy, or I can give you a clean electronic copy, whatever you wish.
You could, sorry, I'm just trying to think about the proper process here.
But we do have a letter from you in our package.
This time?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, well then, yeah, sorry, it has been uploaded. I don't see it.
Did you send another letter?
No, I didn't resend the March 3rd letter because, again, we were not informed of that was required or part of the process. And I guess that's part of our frustration.
So we do have it. I just read it and from yourselves and I didn't look at the date, but
Yeah, it's a 4-page document dated March 3rd, 2025. So if it's not part of the record, I'd like to submit it as such.
Through the mayor, so you are able to submit it to me now. It was just the new deadline was how it would be circulated to council, so you can give it to me to form part of the package.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Okay, I'll read now. Thank you.
okay. Thank you. Shelley, I have you next on the list. Did you want to say anything? No? Okay. Would anybody else like to comment? Just come up to the podium.
I am Sarah and Gavin Francis of 9306 Jones Flat Road. We didn't formally submit anything, so I do apologize. We're basically mirroring Rory and Shelley with our concerns. We purchased the home in July of 2024 and have really come to love the neighborhood, and it's peaceful and quiet. It's kind of everything that we were looking for specifically when we were looking at properties. We understand that change is inevitable, and this food hub is a good opportunity for the community to continue development. Our main concerns are also around the traffic concerns, I think naturally have been a point tonight. As mentioned in the hearing notice sent to the residents on June 24th, 2025, the current access is off of Highway 97 southwest corner portion to the partial for the property. You did mention that the Ministry of Transportation said that the access off the highway is not an option, and so it has to go through Jones Flat. So I would love to know kind of the details as to why, if you have them and are able to share them. Specifically because Jones Flat is the intersection coming off of the highway is not ideal, kind of on the best of days. So with the access being changed to Jones Flat Road, what is being done to the highway access at the intersection of Jones Flat and Highway 97? Like, is an intersection with traffic lights going to be put in, or is there going to be any kind of traffic mitigation for that? We are also aware that large vehicles, semi-trucks, dump trucks, whatever, do not take corners sharply and do require a large amount of space kind of coming off the highway to immediately turn in is a bit tight. So with that in mind, if vehicles can't make the turn from the highway immediately onto the driveway, where is the backup for them to go? Are they to just travel all the way down Jones Flat Road and kind of turn around and then loop back? And then are there going to be size restrictions for coming through Jones Flat Road for the vehicles? Are just kind of my specific questions for the traffic control.
Yeah. I'd echo a lot of the same concerns that have been brought up already, and as well as Sarah mentioned, the decision from the Ministry of Transport that was a recommendation that the access be removed from Highway 97, or was it a requirement from the ministry?
Okay, thank you very much. I'll ask for a second time if there's anybody who would like to speak. We don't have anybody online, Corp? No? And I'll ask for a third and final time if anybody would like to speak again. Yeah, come on up, Mr. Tumbeck. Yeah, yep.
Thank you. I just want to respond to those concerns. At the public hearing back in March, we did have a person from the district at the meeting. So just to clarify that, I think Laura, you were there. And we have modified our design to the driveway in an effort to appease the Rory and his partner there. It was suggested that the original location of that driveway was immediately across from your driveway, and we tried to shift it further down so it wasn't directly there. So I'm not sure if there's some confusion about that. And we're very happy to try to do everything we can to mitigate things like traffic accumulation around the front. I'm not sure exactly what we could do, but possibly encouraging people to ingress into the property as opposed to parking out front of it. Also, just with the landscaping, very happy to explore other options than maple trees, and that's not a requirement for us. So I'd love to see something a little more edible in there, but yeah, we're by no means trying to impose on the community. We understand that there are concerns around the traffic and trying to make sure it's safe. I would also just ask the question to the council if it might be an opportunity to propose doing some changes to traffic there in light of the foreseeable increase in traffic coming off the highway. We already know that that's actually quite a dangerous spot on the highway, and perhaps this is something we should be looking at. Maybe there's a solution there. So yeah, we definitely don't want to be putting ourselves in a place of opposition with other people, and very approachable and happy to try to appease any concerns if within reason. The discussions I've had with the Ministry of Transport, it hasn't been seemingly a recommendation. It's an obligation. As far as we understand, the existing highway access isn't even permitted to the highway, and it is a question of safety. So they're basically telling us we can't proceed without that access being removed from the highway side. So that's as far as I understand it at this point.
Okay, thank you. And would anybody else like to speak for a final time? Final comments? Yeah.
No, I just want to say thank you. I mean, that's the sort of feedback we're looking for, and I'd be more than happy to, talk to the proponent and come up with something that we're both happy with. And, I don't want to be difficult to get along with. I just want to be realistic here. So thank you very much for the opportunity to speak tonight.
Thank you. And one last opportunity for council to ask questions before we go into discussion about it. For either staff or the applicant or anybody who's spoken. No questions? Okay. So I'll call this public hearing closed. Thank you, everybody, for participating. Council will be discussing it next up. So we'll reconvene the regular council meeting, and first up is 16.1, the zoning and OCP bylaw amendment application that we've just had the public hearing for. And I guess we don't need staff to present it again, so I'll just open it to council. Council Barco?
Thank you. Your worship, I'm a little confused about the driveway because I thought there was, okay, we heard that it was relocated to try and accommodate the neighbors. And I can certainly see that probably the further it is from the highway, the more time people have to, less chance if there's say a truck slowly going into the facility and a car or two behind them, they won't be out on the highway or anything. So the further from the highway, the better. So no surprise at all that the access has to be off the highway. We see that all the time. But there was the issue with the post boxes. And I note that there's about 3 rows of trees are actually on the road allowance there. So there's lots of room to move them around if that makes, and I can't quite see on the GIS image where those post office boxes or whatever you call them are. But I know it was an issue last time and it was all related to the access, but is there, and the access is going to have to be in front of somebody. So we're kind of stuck there. But is there some adjustment is there any further adjustment that can be made or any ideas there?
I don't know. Why don't we ask our Director of Development Services?
Your worship, to Councillor Barkwell, the way if you look at their plan in detail, that with their revised access, I think their plan is to keep the mailbox in its current location. And I think before the mailbox was a concern because how close it was to the old access point. But now that they've moved the access point from Jones Flat Road further to the east to accommodate that adjacent landowner, the mailbox is fine to stay where it's at. And correct me if I'm wrong with all that, Thomas, if you want, but I think that's kind of the plan now, to keep it as is.
It's kind of the way I remembered it, but thanks.
Okay. Councillor Peak?
Thank you very much, Your Worship. Can you remind me how many parking stalls are on the plan?
Counting here. Plan I'm looking at is what is it, 32? There are 32 on the proposed plan.
Right. So one of the comments was making sure that people get off the road and they know there's parking. So I think that if it's well identified, people will get to know there's lots of parking there and they won't park on the edge of the road, which is somewhat of the other concerns, especially if children are coming out and playing on a driveway and tend to sometimes get too close to the road. So the less traffic that stays on on Jones Flat, the better. So we want to make sure that they actually get into the area to park. I think that would make a difference.
Anyone else? I would just like to add that, Highway 97 is not our road. It's the provincial government's road. And while lights at that intersection probably would be a good idea, I think it's something we, as a council, can lobby for. We have asked to meet with the Minister of Transportation at UBCM in September. And we're in quite regular contact with the ministry staff. And we have asked them to look at that stretch of highway through Summerland in the past. And they're pretty, they're quite responsive. They have reviewed speed limits when the speed limits were changed. That was at a request from this council to review the speed limits. We've been asking for years for lights at the research center down in Trunk Creek. There's complications with that intersection, which they explained to us why it's difficult to put lights in there. I don't necessarily buy it myself, but so I think that's what we can do in terms of improving safety at that intersection. And I think if we use the argument that, with the food hub being there, it's more pertinent that we do have they do look at putting lights there, but they have their own assessments. They do their own assessments and they would make their determination. But we certainly have a role of pointing these things out to them. And I think that's something we can do. So. Councillor Marco?
Yeah, I mean, we can add this to the argument that all those trucks are also going to the industrial area. It's the main access to one of our industrial areas. So I think we have a pretty persuasive argument for a light there. Yeah.
Okay, if there's no further discussion, if somebody'd like to bring a motion forward, Councillor Peak.
I'll bring the motion as stated by staff.
Okay, can we get that up on the screen, please? Do I have a seconder? Anybody want to second this? Councillor Patton? Okay, just let it get up. There it is. Don't we have to rescind the previous one as well, or we already did that? Oh, okay. I must have missed that meeting. Yeah, right. Okay, no further discussion. Councillor Patton?
Thank you, Worship. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that Thomas, and Rory can work out in regards to the plantings, to the landscaping. And I do understand the relocation of the driveway over on, I'm looking at the site plan here, and it is to the east of the mailbox. It's not an opportune location based on Mr. Smith's driveway and the neighbor's driveway. But perhaps the indication on the site plan doesn't tell us what the width of the driveway entry is going to be. So if that entry is quite wide, that would really help with truck movement and vehicle movement going in and out of the property, so that it wasn't such tight turns to get in and out, which would help. But anyway, that was it. It's not the best, but as long as our proponent and the neighbors can work through some of the issues, I think that it's the best that we can ask for at this point.
Thank you. Okay, no further discussion. I'll call the question. All in favor? And none opposed. That carries. There's no delegations. We'll move on to 18.1, Development Service Report. Mr. Delwith.
Nothing too much to present. This is the regular monthly report for council's awareness, but I am available as always, for any questions of council for any items within the report. Thank you.
Thank you, council. Any questions? Any update on the hotel apartment complex down by Esso there?
The latest that I have in terms of information in regards to that development is they're still working on financing, and it's been a slow process, I believe, on their end. They are trying to get approval through CMHC for the apartment building. And I understand their process is more difficult than can be expected, I guess, working with the federal government.
Councillor Bark?
Your question, Your Worship, reminded me of a long time ago, we asked the Banks Crescent people to do an archaeological impact survey. And that was, what, a year and something ago. Are they still moving forward or?
Your Worship, to Council Barco, that's a great question. Actually, yes, we've had a recent meeting with the development group as part of that project. And after roughly a year of radio silence, they have come back saying that they've gone through the archaeological impact assessment. They've been working with PIB this entire time, which is a positive. And they're going to be coming forward with a completed report here soon. So they are still moving ahead.
Anyone else? Councillor Peak.
Without being able to look for sure what I'm looking at. Is there a subdivision development on Blagbourne? I had somebody ask me, and it was a time when I wasn't on council, so I'm asking.
Yeah, through Your Worship, to Councillor Peak, there was a subdivision proposal back in 2021. So your timing is correct there. They, for what various reasons, they never went forward with it. But I know the property has been recently put up for sale. So they're looking for probably another opportunity.
Thank you very much.
Councillor Park.
Since there's hardly anybody here today, I'm going to ask all sorts of questions. When the weather was much colder, I spoke to the head of the Parkdale Place Society, and they said they thought that the Parkdale Place would be starting construction real soon. What's happening there?
Through Your Worship, to Councillor Barkwell, that we did have some changeover of building officials, which probably impacted a little bit of the timing because this is a complex building. But thankfully, I think about a week and a half ago now, we issued the building permit in June. So they're off to the races, I think, now to start.
Excellent. Anyone else? Bring a motion to receive the report. Councillor Barkwell, Councillor Peak, all in favor? That carries. No business arising. Any notices of motion? Councillor Barkwell.
Yeah, I guess it's going to be my job for bring forward a notice of motion that we are going to, we would like to have staff prepare a report concerning the advisability and feasibility of taking over the school grounds at Giantset Elementary, school grounds and playground, the playground equipment area.
So are you giving notice that you're going to?
Well, I guess if it's received unanimously, we can put the resolution forward tonight.
Okay, so how would you need a motion to receive it, to proceed tonight, or how does that work?
Council procedure bylaw just says any council member may bring forward a notice of motion regarding an emergent or time-sensitive issue, and council may consider this notice of motion at the same meeting. So you could bring forward your motion.
So I would like to put forward the motion that the staff prepare a report concerning the feasibility and advisability of and potential uses of the Giantset School playground and fields.
And you would wish this to be discussed tonight?
And I'm putting forward that motion right now.
Okay, and are we all okay with that? Or do we have a seconder? Councillor Patton seconding. Okay. Floor is yours, Councillor Barkle.
I think it's a good idea.
Councillor Peak.
Well, but okay, so you kind of motion. Did you want to lease the land, buy the property? What are you thinking about?
This motion is just for have staff prepare a report on, the feasibility and advisability and after that, whether we want to go ahead or not, then we can talk about what terms we'd be willing to offer to the district. But the school district has an interest in seeing us take it, but they need something from us in writing. They need something that they can include in a report to their board. And that comes after we've had our sort of due consideration.
Well, my question would be, okay, if the school board keeps it, and there's a playground there and a field there that they'll look after. If we take it over, there's a playground there and a field then that we have to look after. Why would we want to do it? It's still, nothing changes except it's more cost for our local taxpayers. Councillor Barton?
Well, that's what maybe the report might say. I might say that there's also a risk that it goes for other uses too. I don't know what they are, but I haven't read the report yet. There is the potential that would be the ideal situation, no doubt, but it's not guaranteed.
Okay, any further discussion? I'll call the question. All in favor? And none opposed, that carries. Any other notices of motion? Councillor Peak?
I don't want to make a motion. I want to ask a question. Is that okay? And
We know, but go ahead.
no, all right. Well, maybe I should do it, wait for a committee of the whole or talk to someone. There's an opportunity, other communities have identified through the GIS system so that whether the Art Council is interested in putting story notes on certain properties that would provide a background for people that are looking in our area. And that can be done relatively easy from what I understand, but I don't know how we would do that.
Okay, corporate officer.
So through the mayor, Councillor Peak. So the correct way to do that is it would have to be a council direction to staff, as it would be, I don't know how easy it is, so I don't want to say a significant project, but it would be essentially a significant project of our GIS administrator. That's currently not on her work plan, as it wouldn't align with anything that's there. So should council want to support the art council, should our council want to support the Arts Council in this project, council would have to consider and then provide direction to staff to do so. So notice of motion would be the most appropriate.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go and give that.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Barkle?
Thank you. Did you say that it would be on our GIS system? So you clicked on a property and up would come a page that has the history of the property and some pictures or something? Is that what your idea was?
But there's a
Yeah, I'll let you guys discuss that offline. And figure it out. If there's no further notices of motion, we'll move on to councillor reports. Does anybody have a report? Councillor Patton?
Thank you, Worship. Just to let council know that it's the AGM of the Destination Summerland Chamber of Commerce tomorrow at 4:00 and down at I think it's at the resort. I think it's at the waterfront resort. Anyways, yeah, it's tomorrow, 4:00.
Councillor Bark? No? No? Okay, could I get a motion to adjourn, please? Councillor Barkwell, Councillor Peak, all in favor? That carries. Thanks, everybody.